The red folder vanished from Vera's hands when she said, "Dario Salvatierra," then struck the inside of the closed filing cabinet beside her with a metallic bang. Dario was still standing by the reception desk, holding an identical folder. "Thanks for confirming yours was the real one," he said. Vera needed to retrieve it and get it into the committee's submission box before noon. Inside was her proposal to reopen the café where they had once sung together. If she failed, the place would remain closed for the entire season. While preparing her application, Vera had selected food and beverage operations and left a box labeled Complementary Category blank. Adding another activity had seemed like a complication that might weaken her bid. Her plan was simple: one café, one manager, one authority. She opened the filing cabinet, retrieved the folder, and headed toward the submission box. Dario followed, but answered her taunts by writing on a sheet of paper, "I am not saying your name." Vera took the copy he was carrying and raised a pen over the first page. "Then I'll cross out your category." Dario retreated in silence, step by step, until he was standing beside the filing cabinet. Vera tore a corner from the form. "Last chance." "Vera Montio, don't you dare." The genuine folder vanished from Vera's hands. A metallic bang sounded from inside the filing cabinet beside Dario. He opened the door, pulled out the red folder, and dropped his copy. "Thanks for confirming where I needed to stand," he said. Vera's first plan had failed before she even reached the award hall. Dario closed the filing cabinet and walked away with the genuine folder. Vera picked up the decoy while reconstructing the rule he had just used against her. Written names did nothing. What mattered was who said the full name, because the folder appeared inside the closed cabinet nearest that person. Dario had learned both facts by watching her, then chosen his position before breaking his silence. An announcement over the public address system warned that the submission slot would close 30 seconds before 12. At noon, everything inside would be sealed, and no further proposals would be accepted. The submission box stood at the far end of the hall, beyond the copy room. It was a closed metal cabinet, just like the filing cabinet, except that it had a submission slot and an automatic clock that locked it. Vera opened the copy, searching for something that might stop Dario. The first page was an incomplete cultural programming form. The selected category was not food and beverage operations. It was independent cultural programming. Below it was a note: "For complimentary proposals, see the following page." The following page was missing. Vera stopped chasing him. Dario was not trying to take the café. He was trying to save the stage. That little platform occupied the corner where they had first started singing together, before songs turned into contracts, contracts into arguments, and arguments into a reasonably civilized breakup, apart from 3 cups, 1 microphone, and the word tempo. In Vera's plan, the stage would be removed to make room for a larger storeroom. Not because she hated it, but because the numbers would not let her keep it without separately funded programming. Dario reached the submission box and raised the folder toward the slot. "Wait," Vera said. "You're not going to manage the café." He lowered the folder. "I never wanted to manage it. You know how to make a business work. I still calculate supply orders as if everyone needs 5 lemons in every drink." "Then why the identical copy? Why take the real one from me?" "Because your proposal turned the stage into a room full of boxes. The call for proposals allows the programming rights to be awarded separately. Or at least I thought it did. I was missing a page." Vera held up the form. "And I have a spare box."
On her commercial application, she had left the complementary category option blank. It had seemed like an unnecessary complication. Now it pointed directly to Dario's category. "We can submit both," she said. "Café and stage."
Dario's triumphant expression fell apart. "Together?" "Don't get excited. I'm talking about forms." They went to the copy room and spread their pages across the table. Darío supplied the cultural requirements, Vera supplied the commercial ones. The genuine folder lay still between them. "If we form a team, you handle the programming and I manage the business," Vera said, "with separate authority." "I was about to say that." "You were thinking it in your boss voice." Vera brought the pen toward the signature lines, but a clause stopped her. "We can't. A member of the management team cannot evaluate or commission their own cultural programming. If we sign together, you stop being independent, and your category becomes invalid." Darío compared the pages and let out a long breath. Their simple alliance had failed. One of them would have to give up. "Submit yours," he said. "At least the café will open." "Without the stage. You'll be able to store an enormous number of napkins. Not as many as the lemons you'd buy." The announcement said 2 minutes remained. Darío offered her the folder. Vera could accept it, walk to the submission box, and gain the exclusive controls she had come for. Then she looked at the blank box. Complementary category did not say joint team. It said that 2 independent award holders could submit compatible categories in a single folder, as long as each proposal had a separate signature, budget, and authority. The folder would not make them partners in everything. It would simply bring together 2 uses of the same venue. Vera showed him the clause. "You're in charge of the stage. I'm in charge of the café." "And on music nights?" "You choose who sings. I decide how much the lemons cost." "That is a reasonable border." Vera checked the box. Darío added his cultural proposal. They closed the red folder with both applications inside and ran into the hall. The first-time warning sounded. The submission slot snapped shut. 30 seconds remained before the noon seal. Vera pulled at the flap. It would not move. The box was still closed and valid. It simply no longer accepted ordinary submissions. A few steps away, the filing cabinet waited with its door closed. If Vera said Darío's full name, the folder would jump into the closed cabinet nearest her. But the filing cabinet was closer than the submission box, and it would steal their delivery. "Open the filing cabinet," she said. Darío understood at once. He ran over and flung the metal door wide open. As long as it remained open, it would no longer count as a closed cabinet. The submission box would be the only possible destination. 20 seconds, the announcement said. Vera handed the folder to Darío. "Why do I have to hold it?" "Because I've wanted to do this with your name for years, and I'd like to enjoy it." Darío kept one hand on the filing cabinet door and the other on the folder. Vera positioned herself between the 2 cabinets. They were no longer competing to possess it. He had to hold the obstacle open, and she had to trigger the jump. 10 seconds. Vera took a breath. "Darío Salvatierra." The folder vanished from his hand. A resounding metallic bang echoed from inside the submission box. 1 second later, the noon mechanism dropped with a final crash, sealing both proposals inside. Darío released the filing cabinet door. It swung shut with a far less impressive noise. "I admit, you said it with excellent tempo." "And you held the door in an almost musical fashion." The decision arrived that same afternoon. The committee approved the complimentary proposals. Vera received exclusive management of the café, and Darío received independent control of the stage's programming. Neither could overrule the other within their own domain, though both were free to argue in the disputed borderland of lemons. They opened the venue to air it out and test the lights. Vera placed the keys on the counter. Darío climbed onto the stage and clapped once to test the acoustics. "First rule," Vera said, "no full names except in emergencies." "What kind of emergency?" She lifted the folder of invoices, which needed to be stored in a high cabinet that was difficult to reach. Darío looked at the cabinet, then at the folder, and smiled. "We could also save them for particularly interesting arguments. That wouldn't reduce their use by much." "Perfect, Vera." "Perfect, Darío." The invoice folder remained still. For now, they had learned exactly how much name they needed to work together.